Well, good morning, everyone. Let's see if we can get all this technology moving in the right direction because, boy, we sure have a lot to discuss today. So much happening, so much going on, not to mention things that happened over the weekend. I mean, it's definitely on. Good morning, Alex.
Morning, sir. It's a lot to discuss is an understatement. Did you just watch President Trump's press briefing?
I saw bits and pieces of it, yes.
Bro,
I know. I know. Buckle up, dude. Make sure that your tray tables and seat backs are in their up and locked position.
the uh, the show of force standing behind him with Bondi, Patel, Hegseth. Oh, I mean, game over, boys.
And you don't really think that there was all that military brought in for just a parade, do you? Oh, yeah, baby. It's on. Well, good morning, Dave.
Morning, guys.
Good morning, James.
Good morning.
James must be fired up this morning with all the military action going on. Oh, I got to adjust my camera. Hold on one second, everybody.
Yes, I am.
I figured you would be. I figured you would be, James.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's say some good mornings here. Well, we have Mary Lise Brown. Good morning, Mary Lise. Sherry's here. I'm married to Bob, native San Diegan. Mary Ann Thompson. Benji 1959. Good morning, Ben. I got a couple of messages from Ben this morning. He's all over it, man. He's on it like white on rice. Oh, let's see here. Joy. Good morning, Joy. Sassy Minnesota girl. Tanya Moonsheiber. Laffy Rocks and Cindy Hayden are also here. Scratch 65. U.S. Chrissy 1974. Lee is here, and there she is, the all-star behind the scenes, Lisa Maria. Good morning, Lisa.
Lynn Brooks wants to know what's the number for the tattoo. How close are we?
Well, we're not that close. If you take all of the platforms combined, I'm sitting at about 100,000, roughly. Give or take several thousand. It's hard to be sure on all of them, but about 100,000. So we've got about 1.5 times to go, but I'm confident we're going to make it. Wendy's here and Kevin Kiesler as well. Christy B from Hayesville, Kansas. Good morning, Christy. All right, let's see here. I mean, guys, has today, this morning, been on fire already or not? Ooh, nice little crown.
It's insane. It's insane how things are moving. Another good week, another Monday.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Oh, hey, did you guys get that photo for later that I sent you?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. All right, let's see here. Oh, Alex, what do you think? Are you ready to do some indices?
Sir, yes, sir. Mixed bag of tricks today. S&P 500 up a total of 8 points to 6,397. Dow is down 79 points to 44,096. NASDAQ is up 60 to 21,510. Gold, however, after an all-time high, is down $82 to 3,408. It's been fun to watch that one over the last several days. Silver is down $1 60 cents to 37.99. Looking across the crypto indices, Bitcoin up 1.25% to 120, Ethereum up 2% to 4,327, XRP up 0.4% to $3.21. XLM up to 44 cents. HBAR down at 25 cents. Good time to get in. Not financial advice, but just my personal opinion. Buy it on the TikTok shop. As far as deltas, give me just a second. Today's deltas. There's a whole lot of reposts of what people posted on formerly known as Twitter, a bunch of James Gunn posts that all deal with children.
James's gun, not James's gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Hey,
Oh, poop, pew,
behave.
pew,
Behave.
pew,
Hey.
pew.
Believe in coincidences. That's drop 1853 from August 11th, 2018. Believe in coincidences, question mark, truth to power. And then we have some Bill Maher posts. Interesting that he's been back in the narrative pretty constantly, and some posts about him. Iron Eagle is another post. Do some digging on that one, folks. How do you prevent public release of incriminating acts that would forever strip their power away? How do you bind the hands of the POTUS? Two-pronged situation. Test strength of midterms through private analysts. Analysts below key metric. Chance for recovery. Start a war. Think missiles accidentally fired. Against who? Relationships are very important. The sharing of information is very important. So there's quite a spectrum of deltas for today.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
So,
Next.
as everybody knows, I follow other people as well, and I've been in messaging back and forth with one individual who is prolific at deciphering the drops, and I'm hoping to get him on the show hopefully this week. But you are going to be in store for a incredible breakdown from him. His name is Stormy Patriot Joe. He runs Absolute Storm, him and Absolute 1776, and we've been back and forth on messages. I'm hoping to have him on this week. So before we get to Dave, I see Lee said, yeah, good show on Saturday. Okay, so I'm going to let everybody know what happened. I was invited onto another creator's show, and I hesitated for a long time because I was just concerned that it was essentially going to be a wood chipper. And I was assured that it was going to be a discussion and that it was going to be calm and it was going to be under control. And so I decided to go on. Well, first thing, I log into the live, and what's the biggest word on the screen? Debate. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And then the person that I was supposed to be having a discussion with, it turns out to be a debate, shows up on the screen, and he's got a Palestinian flag worn as a bandana. That was red flag number 2. But I have to say, he tried to goat me a little bit, but ultimately it was a good discussion. I think that he is passionate about what he believes, and I commend him for that. And I think overall it was a good truth-telling session for me. And I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. In fact, I got my first lion gift during that live. I'd never seen one of those before. It was like, wow, that thing is badass. I'm telling you. But overall, it was a good experience, and they've invited me back on again, and I'm sure I will at some point. But thank you, everybody who showed up for that, for the support. I appreciate it.
Sam, I talked with Alex on the phone after your debate, and he said it was probably something that I would not have wanted to participate in.
Yeah, James, you would have gone nuclear during this, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but it was overall, it was a good experience. At least I felt it was. So Brian Yeager's here, Mr. Alton, Mick Alicious just showed up. Of course, Jess the Mess from Texas here. And, oh, hey, Hits is here. Hi, Hits. And PJ Party Peggy, Martin's WB, Pure Blood Holly Johns made it as well. Boy, the whole gang's piling in. I love it. Traveler's here. Hey, Traveler. Haven't seen you in a while.
Brown just sent you a baby dragon.
Who did?
I think you missed the squirrel, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read the chat.
You missed a squirrel?
I
What is
know.
going on?
I know.
It must be Monday.
It must be, exactly. Freddie Dragonfly's here. Andrea Lynn 81. And, oh, the man, the myth, John Gwynn is here as well. Welcome, everybody. All right, Dave, let's see. Why don't we get some farming and agriculture going here?
Sounds good. Good morning. Good Monday morning to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great start to their week. They are in DC. They're going to clean house. So that's exciting news. I'm going to do the industries a little bit different today because it's kind of leading to my story a little bit. Hogs are up. 0.4% across the board. Cattle also down 0.4. Wheat is up 2 to 4. Soybeans up 2 to 3. And soybeans are up 15 to 19 cents across the board. President Trump released on his social media, China is worried about its shortages of soybeans. Our great farmers produce the most robust soybeans out there. I hope China will quickly quadruple its soybean orders. So we'll see how that goes into play, but obviously already affecting the markets. Exciting news.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. And I also want
Yep.
to mention during that show that I did over the weekend, Taz Nemo, who's in the chat right now, was the moderator. And she assured me that there would be nothing would get out of hand. And I have to hand it to her. She did a great job. She kept the other person reined in to the best of her ability. And I just want to compliment you, Taz. You did a fantastic job. Thank you again for having me on the show. Okay, let's see here. Well, here we go, James. Let's what do we got going today? Well, I should say, how many things do we have going today?
You know, I know that we're probably going to cover some of this stuff in the regular dispatch. There's a couple things that are going on. One that jumped out loud to me about 3 o'clock this morning. Israel with Netanyahu is planning on a military expansion in Gaza. He still wants to dismantle Hamas. The conflict is now 22 months and ongoing. He did say there will be safe zones, but the camps are being occupied by over 500,000 people. Occupying Gaza City is not a safe endeavor. Gaza City is under continued heavy bombardment by Netanyahu, and Netanyahu says he wants Israel to occupy Gaza, have a demilitarize the territory. The Israeli military is overriding security control, and a non-Israeli civilian administration in charge is what Netanyahu is trying to establish. There's probably a lot of talk that's going to happen about the Gaza area, and if you really want to take a good look at what's going on, take a look at Gaza 5 years ago and take a look at it today. The rubble alone will make you scratch your head and just say, "Wow, that really is that much damage," and indeed it is. Netanyahu says there's not the kind of starvation that we think is going on. So what do we do with the plane loads of food that we shove out the door over the top of them? I mean, where's it going? What's it going to? Are we feeding the opposition? Are we feeding the Hamas food? That's speculation at best.
Yep.
The National Guard in Washington, D.C., and I know that's something that's a hot topic. Everybody wants to know how many boots are going to be. I don't know that. Right now, we have 2,700 on the ground in that region already. The National Guard in Washington, D.C. is not controlled by the governor, nor the mayor, but the president. The authority has been delegated to the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of the Army, and President Trump says, handle it.
Exactly. Great report, James. Thank you. All right. Let's see. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of chatter in the chat today. And we're going to get into some of these as we go forward. So I'm not going to single them out right now, but there's a lot to discuss. Cindy Lou said, "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm watching from the East. It's now 12:12. Blessings to all." Blessings to you too, Cindy Lou. Glad you made it, even on your vacation or wherever you're at. Ben is coming in hot with the shiny air balloons. Thank you, Ben. That is so cool. It completely derails me, and I love it. All right. And it looks like over on YouTube, we have got some trolls going on. And I'm not going to, if you guys decide on YouTube to ask legitimate questions, absolutely we will appraise them and do our best to answer them. But if you're just going to throw stuff out, don't bother, because we're not going to respond to it. But Ozzy Crosby, our sheriff in town over on YouTube, is there now. So I feel much better and much more comfortable about it. All right. So let's dig in here. According to Leading Report. Now, I did not have this on my bingo card for this month, but DNI Tulsi Gabbard said that aliens may be real and that she's going to, quote, share the truth. Alex?
There's been a whole lot of chatter for, I don't know, a year now, declass this, and this person's talking about that, and this. So I just let's use discernment. I've used this analogy, I think, in private conversations. I'll share it publicly, but I believe that if the mainstream media came out and said we are being invaded by aliens and the only way to protect yourself would be to insert a corn cob into the backside, half of this freaking country would be walking sideways the next morning. So personally, I believe that, mathematically, the probability of us being the only, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Billions of planets, trillions of planets, millions and billions of civilizations much older than us. This weekend we were talking about it. I was out in the backyard. We had friends in town. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to meet them. I'm just okay without the probing, right? Like, let's meet. Let's have a conversation. No probing.
So Alex, with his superlative linguistic skills, comes out again. It kind of reminds me of that old movie Blazing Saddles where the one guy says to the other, "You got a purty tongue."
That's right.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, I didn't find out a lot about it since this came out last week, but there was a leak of some photos, and they did have some produced out here. I'll bring them up here real quick. Of a couple aliens here. A couple of aliens right there.
Exactly.
I'm definitely suspicious of those.
Exactly.
So let's start there.
Nanu.
Yeah, exactly. James, what are your thoughts?
Wow, that was good, Dave. I got off on that one. I guess Tulsi Gabbard is the modern day Orson Welles. To me it's total BS, but an unidentified flying object is exactly that. Just because they can't put a finger on it and say that's what it is, oh my God, there's got to be a conspiracy theory. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Right. Don't beat around the bush, James. Come right out with it, would you please?
So James, there are or there are not people, aliens, entities from somewhere else.
Hey, everybody's into their own drug, dude. Don't ask me that shit.
What do you think there are? Or no. I mean, we know how you feel about the moon.
Oh, well, I'm going to parallel that. How about that?
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, time will tell. Hey, Kathleen Garcia just made it. Hi, Kathleen. And Ruby's here. Good morning. All right. Well, let's move on here. Oh, Wendy just said, unless we live on a flat earth. Oh, gosh, of course, Wendy. You had to open that can of worms, didn't you? Oh, my gosh. Leonard Little's here. He said, right on spot. I love it. You made me laugh. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we're getting some fun out of it as well. Tally Bixby's here. Hey, Tally. And look who made it. Susie Kabloozy is here. Susie, where have you been, young lady? Glad you made it today. So the DOJ opened a grand jury investigation into Letitia James, tied to the Trump civil case. Dave, what do you make of that?
Well, isn't it true that they blame another guy for that, and they're upset about them getting caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and him and Pencil Neck out there in California, the same concept. So it's interesting. Get after them. If they're guilty of it, so be it.
Yeah, exactly. James?
This thing with Letitia James, we're giving her so much publicity, not just us, but I mean, all the media. I'm just going to say this about it, the whole thing. She's never been married.
Alex, that's a hard one to follow, I know, but
it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Two things guaranteed to rise: the sun in the morning and the truth. And there are so many truth bombs exploding all around us all the time right now. It's like, I got to go buy some more popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. Franny Dragonfly sending all the gifts. Thank you, Franny. It's so sweet. Joy said the hunted is now the hunting. Exactly. The hunted become the hunters. Absolutely right. And we are just getting started, I'm telling you, in my opinion anyway. All right, the Trump administration. What's that?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. The Trump administration is seeking a $1 billion settlement from the University of California, UCLA, after a Department of Justice investigation found it had violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, according to CNN. Now, more pressure on academia. We all know about Executive Orders 13818, 13848, human trafficking, election interference. The people responsible or involved lose their assets. I believe this is just another portion of what's been going on in the background, the deep state being taken out significantly in the realm of academia. James, what are your thoughts?
I'm glad you chose me first on this one. This goes just like Harvard, Georgetown. In this particular case, the investigation that DOJ conducted found that this university was in violation of Civil Rights Act of 1964 under Title VI, and that is a hostile education environment. 47 sues for $1 billion. I'm not exactly sure how much UCLA gets from the federal government every year as far as a stipend or support. I don't know why we have to sue them. Is the suit the same thing as pulling back and not supporting? I don't know that.
I think it's probably trying to give back what we've already given them, would be my guess.
Okay.
Dave?
It's interesting. I see Newsom's side of it says it's not about protecting the Jewish students. It's about a political shakedown by a pay-to-play president. And Newsom what'd you say in your daily dispatch that he said, I'll quit before, or how did he say that, Sam?
Well, we'll get to that part, but yeah, exactly. He'll resign.
Yeah.
He'll resign
Yeah.
before. He said, "I'll resign before allowing UCLA to pay a fine to the federal government." And maybe
Well,
that's the way they pull him out. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll kick out USC and we'll throw us a few more fines out there to make sure that gets done.
Exactly. Alex, any thoughts?
And James, 11% of UCLA's revenues come from the federal grants and contracts.
Right.
11%.
11% of $1 billion is a lot of money.
Newsom's gonna take his ball and go home.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope he goes far, far away. We all know what's happening with President Trump in D.C. today, and I'll discuss it more on tomorrow's dispatch. But I had somebody in here write us say Trump can't just decide to deploy the National Guard. Well, I beg to differ. If you read Section 2, Article 2 of the Constitution, he can absolutely federalize National Guard, military, that he can deploy military if it is an issue of national security. Now, you have people being beat up, you have people being unalived. Absolutely, that's a national security issue. So I would encourage you to read Article 2 of the Constitution as opposed to just throwing things out. Maybe you just weren't aware of it. I don't know. Hey, Truther just made it. Truther is the person, and I have to apologize to Truther. I had no idea Truther was a woman, and I kept referring to him on Friday, or to this person as a him. I was wrong. Truther is a woman, a very talented woman. Welcome to the chat, Truther. And again, my apologies for getting that wrong. All right, let's see here. President Trump. Hold on one second. Oh, okay. So we've got a lot of trolls in here today. I love that. Let them go. Let's see what they have to say, because I like highlighting some of the things that they talk about. Powell, the biggest national security threat is President Trump. Well, once again, I would encourage you to read the Constitution. I would encourage you to go back and find out what's taken place with the central bank. I would encourage you to go back and figure out what happened with agriculture. I would encourage you to go back and see what happened with Western medicine. All of it is tied together. So when you say President Trump is the biggest national security threat, I don't think you really understand what's going on.
I think he forgot a piece. Biggest threat to national security threat, the deep state.
Yeah, exactly. All right, President Trump over the weekend said Bitcoin and crypto are, quote, much stronger than other aspects of the market. Now, that in and of itself was significant, in my opinion, but there was also some other posts that were made. Dan Scavino came out and said, abolish the IRS. That's a pretty strong statement from him, and I think it's very interesting that all of this narrative around the IRS, the Federal Reserve, uh, what's going on with cryptocurrencies, the switch, as I call it, I think we're deep down the rabbit hole and we're starting to see this information come forth. James, what are your thoughts?
This is covering another part of it. 47 on crypto and Dan Scavino about the IRS. They kind of do go hand in hand. The global crypto market goes above 4 trillion and is a new record high. Being added to the 401ks, Americans have a broader choice of where and how they're going to attack their retirement. Um, it opens crypto industry to a $9 trillion market with real estate, or excuse me, with 401ks in the retirement funds. As far as Dan Scavino goes and him talking about abolishing the IRS, he's been crowing this since March. He's an influential man. He's gotten 744,000 followers on Instagram. So if you want to get the news out, guys like Dan Scavino would be kind of good to use because he does influence a lot of people. So for people to get the momentum of abolishing the IRS in their head, that, I'll give you a case in point about in the head. We still call it Washington, D.C., but it's really Washington.
Right, exactly.
So as long as Dan Scavino keeps pounding us with the IRS going away, we're going to get the idea that, yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. And then also, President Trump appointed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent as the acting IRS commissioner. As you all know in this live, and whoever's been following me for any amount of time, I truly believe that the Federal Reserve was rolled into the Department of Treasury back in 2018. And all we're seeing now is an optical play out of something that's already taken place. And the same can be said for what's happening in DC today, because you're going to tell me that all of those military personnel and equipment was actually brought in for just a parade? I don't think so. James, what are your thoughts on that part?
That was a hell of a show of force to do that. But we've talked about this on several occasions about the actual victory. There are 2 flags that got put in the ground, and a flag was delivered to President Trump, and the Queen stood in front of the King, protecting the King. So all the signs are there, and all the digging that we've done and all the conversation, it's been quite exciting to see. About what's going to happen over there, I don't know what's going to happen in Washington. It's not D.C. anymore. It's Washington.
Right, exactly. Alex, I know there was a few different stories in there. You want to comment on some of those?
I just, looking at the financial outlook for the United States, based off of tariffs and money pouring in, companies moving manufacturing back into the States, all of the rhetoric around taxes, states stepping up and saying you shouldn't be paying tax on a home that you own year over year over year over year. I mean, there's so much buzz around taxes, and I mean, if we go back to the founding of the country, taxation without representation. Well, if they're installed, then they're not representing us. What is coming down the pipe from a financial standpoint, in my humble opinion, is something that none of us could possibly even articulate accurately. It's going to be something pretty amazing.
100%, I agree. Hey, JP Metal Slayer made it. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, if the ultimate goal is to get rid of the Federal Reserve and to put pressure on get rid of the IRS, if you have competitiveness in the crypto, that does it. That starts it. That gets the ball rolling. So I think it's all part of the puzzle plan. So in my mind,
right, and we're moving into everybody needs to be aware that the stock market has been hypothecated for decades. And what that essentially means is they can trade the same stocks, the same certificates multiple times a day, hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a day. So when the music stops, who doesn't have a chair left? Well, when we move to a tokenized monetary system, when we move to a cryptocurrency one-for-one type of system, that can't be done anymore. So we are moving towards honesty and integrity within our monetary system. And it's been a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but I believe the new system's been running parallel to the SWIFT system for some time now. And we'll have to see how it plays out, but I think we're deep in the middle of it. Any comments on that, Alex?
No, sir.
Rudy Bachman over on TikTok said, "Do we now have a king if Trump has control of the DC police?" Well, again, I would encourage you to read Article 2 of the Constitution. I would also encourage you to understand the difference between a president who has constitutional powers versus a quote king. I don't think you really get that concept based on what you're saying there. Ozzy Crosby said, "Thank God your corrupt queen lost, lefties." Exactly. Could you imagine having Kamala in at this point? Oh my word, that would be brutal.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So President Trump signed, as we know, a peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Oh wow, what is that? That is cool. Thanks, John. Oh, it was Rocky's punch. Are you trying to knock me out, John? Is that what you're doing here? Because you certainly knocked me off the rails. But let's see here. So President Trump, Armenia, Azerbaijan brokered a peace deal. And as a side benefit, the transit corridor, the U.S. is going to have exclusive development rights. That is how a deal is done. Cause peace, make a few bucks on the back end for every American. What's wrong with that? Why can't people see this? Alex?
That's the $100 million question. Why can't people see it? And I think it's because for an exorbitant amount of time now, the messaging and the bombardment of just bullshit has sunk in. Repeat the lie loud enough and often enough, and people will start to believe it. Critical thinking repeats, asking questions. We gotta keep pushing forward to get the truth, right? Transparency, I've said it 100 times on the show, is the only way forward. 100% transparency.
Right, 100%. I agree. James?
Well, we do have a Nobel Peace Prize nominee out of the deal. We talked about the Abraham Accord on Friday, and this is exactly part of it. The biggest problem that I see going forward in this is this Gaza, or this area, occupies the border of Iran, and Iran's not very happy about it. But in my opinion, they should take into account what we just did in 3 locations in their country with nuclear capabilities and what they don't have today. They have to know that we have an ass-kicking military that can come over and just take care of business, and that's the part that excites me. Iran doesn't support the deal. It vows to block the border, with or without Russia. And you have to take into account Trump's going to go for a 99-year lease on this ground. This isn't just a 2-year deal. This is like a century of control.
Right.
That's unbelievable deal making.
Right. Dave?
No, it's interesting because he's even talking about meeting with Putin this Friday, I believe, about Zelensky. And Zelensky's like, I don't want it. I don't need it, So he wants to have peace everywhere. He said they've lost 1.5 million, I believe, soldiers, and they have 60-plus-year-old guys that are pulling off to go fight. So eventually they'll be throwing rocks here.
Right. Exactly.
It'll be done. Across the board.
And James, you talked about our military and the might that we have. There's a Bible verse that says the meek shall inherit the earth. And when you dig down into what the word meek means, I think it will give people a different perspective. The word meek in that particular scripture refers to somebody who is a well-versed swordsman, someone who can wield that sword and, essentially put anybody down that he wants to. But that person who's meek chooses not to use it. And I think that is an excellent example of President Trump. We have the force, we have the might, but he chooses not to use it. He'd rather work a deal where everybody benefits from it. And I think that's one of the reasons President Trump is at the top of his game. Now, and again, when I say President Trump, I don't mean just President Trump, but the team surrounding him. But I think that's a perfect analogy of what you were just talking about, James.
Well, Sam, there's something that I don't know if I shared it with you and Alex. I did with Dave this morning. Back in July, Russia provoked us into a potential hostile situation with the USS Gerald Ford, and the Ford was it the Ford? Was it the Ford? I believe. Anyway, one of our biggest aircraft carriers, and they tried to provoke us into a military action, and just the professionalism alone to not squeeze the trigger. I mean, they had the crosshairs, they were armed, ready to fire, and we called them on their bluff, and we actually showed them. We demonstrated our capabilities. We knocked out all their radars. We completely baffled their jets in a matter of I think it was 13 minutes. We put 45 F-18s in the skies, and we basically ran those boys out of field where they had to take off and go home. They had nothing. And that is the professionalism of our U.S. military today. They pushed it to the limit. Their hand was called, and they didn't play.
Right. T. Rainey too said yes, it was the Ford. Dave, any thoughts?
No, it's interesting. It's time. So I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out.
Right. Alex?
Be patient. Wait for the receipts because they're coming.
Yeah, exactly. So President Trump has the meeting with Putin set for August 15th of 2025. That's just in a few weeks, right? And that in and of itself is significant. But what I think is even more significant is if you look at what happened in 1971, and it happens to be on August 15th of 1971, Richard Nixon announced the end of the US dollar's convertibility to gold, effectively ending the Bretton Woods system and leading to significant changes in global economics. Do you think it's by chance that President Trump is meeting with Putin on the 15th of August? I don't think so. James, what do you think?
You know, that's entirely possible. I mean, he's got a reason for everything and the reason why he does things. Zelensky may be part of this little get together. He'll probably be watching by Zoom or something, because I think if Putin got close to him, he'd probably wring his neck. But they're going to partner on environment, infrastructure, energy, and the Arctic and beyond. 47's working hard on Putin, but you have to keep in mind, last week we talked about a 50% tariff on India just because they bought oil from Putin. So it's what do you think? What do you think after all of that?
Right. Hey, Lace and Steele's here, and Crystal Zeski made it. Good morning. Dave, any thoughts?
I believe, how Trump likes his dates and how it comes across the board. Nixon also did a 90-day wage and price freeze that implemented to combat inflation in the United States, and a 10% import surcharge or a tariff back then to protect us too. So it's interesting how those cross over from each other there.
Right. So, Sumas said we left the gold standard for the most part in 1933. Well, I would agree that we did, but we completely came off of it with Richard Nixon. And that wasn't the worst part, or it was bad, but fractional banking was instituted after that. And that was a whole nother deal that just sent us down a rabbit hole. And that's part of the reason why this is happening at this point in time. We have to fix all of this. All right, well, let's do a quick sponsor break here, if you guys are ready for it. First up, Mike Lindell. Mike has sponsored me from the beginning. He's a good man. He has a good company. It's an American company. And if you need a couple of pillows, if you need some sheets, in fact, he's doing a special on his Giza sheets for $49, any color, any size. He's also doing a special on his percale sheets. I think it's $29. Use the code SAM. Give him some business. If you need some sheets or you need some pillows or anything else, he's got a couple hundred products in there. Go and give Mike some business. It helps this company, helps this channel, it helps his company, and most of all, it helps America. And then secondly, we have Neil Naturopathic. Now, I had a discussion with Dr. Neil over the weekend, and he reminded me that I have not been telling people. I've been telling everyone that it's toxin-free and chemical-free, but the most important part of it is it actually gets rid of dandruff, and it causes your hair to grow. And these are two major points. I mean, I've been using it for years. I don't have any dandruff anymore. I used to have a lot. But his Dr. Neil Naturopathic, his shampoo and conditioner is chemical and toxin free. It will eliminate dandruff, and it encourages hair growth. So go over to Neil Naturopathic or go to my website like Alex is showing you there. Click on the link. If you use the code SAM20, that's SAM20, you'll get 20% off your order. And then Dr. Glidden, the man is a man among men when it comes to health and wellness. Go to my website, samshalhoub.com. Click on the button that Alex is showing you right there. If you use the code SAM, you'll get a 30% discount on his membership. And believe me, especially if you have kids or you have grandkids and they're fighting colds and things of that nature, go join his website. You can ask him any question you can imagine and get the answers that you need. And then also he has his new book out. If you use the code SAM to get his book, you'll get a 10% discount. And then Alex, let's talk a little bit about cybersecurity.
RiskToolTech.com provides a roadmap and a tool that will help you track and train your staff, canned policies and procedures if you have not adopted them, as well as a roadmap for compliance. RiskToolTech.com. Yep,
exactly. Thank you. John Good said, Sam, the tangy tangerine is amazing. I'm exhausted from having so much energy. It's true. The supplements, if you're looking for the supplements that I take, go to my website. There's a button that says get your supplements here, and buy Beyond Tangy Tangerine. As John just said, it's something I've been on for years. It is the best nutritional supplement on the market, in my opinion. All right. Crystal said, strange, my send icon is gone. It's just a blank space. Well, it looks like you pissed somebody off, Crystal. Not sure who it is, but it looks like they got your number, girl. All right, let's move on. So The View, now I haven't been able to confirm if The View got canceled or if they're just on a hiatus. Do you guys have any info on that?
Hiatus is what I have come to understand, which may or may not have been construed as they're through, but I mean, let's get real. We talked about it on the show last week. Howard Stern, done. And to understand, in his heyday, he had 20 million people listening to his show in one single broadcast. I'd like to ask everybody, and if you know the answer, don't cheat, but I need some guesses. How many do you think he gets now? Which would be complete evidence as to why they canceled the show. Just some guesses. What do you think, Sam? How many viewers do you think, Sam?
Oh gosh,
per show.
I don't need a million. I have no idea. If he was at 20 million, Lisa Maria said 0.
3 million.
3 million. James, yeah. James, what do you think Howard Stern gets today per show?
Under 100,000.
Don't cheat, damn it!
Did you cheat, James?
No. We talked about this, but we just talked about it like 2 weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago. It's under
25,000.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
How much?
125,000 per show.
Wow.
From 20 million to 125,000, and so I don't know the stats on The View, but I would believe that potentially it's probably very similar, right?
Yeah.
Like. He's said it multiple times, go woke, go broke. People are waking up to the fact that we don't have to sit and listen to your propaganda bullshit anymore. We're not going to watch your TV shows. We're not going to watch your news programs. We're going to revert to places where we know long-form podcasts, hourly daily dispatch with Sam Shalhoub. Like they're not paying attention to that anymore. They're critically thinking.
Right. Ozzy Crosby over on YouTube said, hopefully the spew is gone under because somebody finally found the flush handle. Ozzy, that was great. So when it came to guesses here, Lisa Maria said, I didn't know Stern was still relevant. Franny Dragonfly said 200,000. Diane Lynn said 100. Martin's WB said maybe 100,000. Wendy said, I have no idea. Booza Brad said 14. Native San Diegan said 0. Zach Rector, 100. JP Metal Slayer, 80,000. Wow. You guys had some really good guesses in there. I had no idea. That was a setup for Alex, for me, I think, from Alex, and I'm glad he did it. All right. Let's move on. So the Texas House just revoked the derelict Democrat lawmakers' access to direct deposit. They can't get paid until they step foot back on Texas grounds. And they're charging them $500 per day while they're gone. Dave, what do you make of that?
Well, I think that'll be some excitement that's going to go on this week. I think it'll be sooner than later, I believe, on that. But I laughed so hard. I think I sent it to you guys. I'm like, they got to go to they have to go to the Capitol to get it, you know. So that's entertaining and fun stuff.
Right, exactly. Vanessa, thank you for the gifts. Traveler's here. Hey, Traveler, thank you for the gifts. And Daddy D is here. Hey, Daddy D. James, what are your thoughts?
Well, Representative Richard Pena Raymond, a Democrat from South Texas. All he did